Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the Bag Lady.
Today, I received an email that made me phone Jill and say, "We're talking about this." So, poor good friend, she said, "Okay." So, I have to read my email now. Reading the email, it's two separate pieces, but because they're two separate pieces attached to each other, it reads as one and the same. It was from the BCSPCA saying muzzles have long since suffered some bad rap, but as dog trainer, we'll leave her name out of it, she explains they are like leashes, a necessary management tool to prevent the preventable. So they're saying a muzzle is the same as a leash and that pretty much everyone should be wearing one. And the BCSPCA also says that dogs should never be off leash. They at least wrote to a municipality where I live and said as much to promote that the municipality didn't allow dogs off leash anymore. The SPCA got involved in that. And if you're reading any of their page, they speak a lot about dogs should always be on leash. Now they're saying that not only should dogs be leashed, but they should be wearing a muzzle too.
Now, they're one of the main things they were talking about was to prevent or protect wildlife from the dogs.
So the second part of this goes to wildlife news for dog guardians. If safety is a priority for you, then avoiding unexpected dog wildlife encounters should be at the top of your list in the article you will learn. Things to do at home to prevent. And this is, of course, something that we all want to learn about. We always want to make sure wildlife is safe. That's a huge part for us. But it's linked right next to all dogs should be muzzled. So
That's where I was going. And all dogs should be on leash.
all dogs should be muzzled, all dogs should be on leash. And if we click into the wildlife part about keeping dogs safe here, some of their tips are really good. Turn a light on before you let your dog outside. Do a baby check during spring and summer. Reduce attractants around your property. Yes, this is all useful stuff. I agree with this. Everyone would. And then how to prepare when heading into nature. Always keep dogs leashed. This will prevent surprise encounters and allow you to give wild animals lots of space, preventing the need for defensive behavior. Then it says stay on designated trails to minimize the risk of a surprise encounter. Yeah.
But if you're doing all of that on leash, what is the need for a muzzle?
Exactly. Dogs not
It's a little
only need to now.
hypocritical for them.
Sorry, say that again.
It's a little hypocritical.
Yes.
In one side of their face, they're saying dogs should be leashed. And then
Yes.
in the next breath, they're saying put a muzzle on them, so there won't be bad encounters. Well,
So, where this takes my brain and probably your brain too, Jill, which is what made me so angry. It made me so angry for so many different reasons. But we're dog trainers. We're telling people, like, train harder. Enough of this dumb training that we're seeing. Your dog needs to listen. When you say come, they need to come. There is equipment that can stop dogs from chasing wildlife. It's an e-collar, and we all know e-collars work to stop animals from chasing wildlife. So if you were to give your dog a choice of a life on leash with a muzzle or an e-collar, what would dogs pick?
I know what mine would pick.
My vision of dogs always on leash with muzzles makes me just think of them as prisoners.
I actually
Like,
find it sad to see a dog just. It's great that people take their dogs out to get exercise. But when I see dogs just walking around my community that are just slogging along beside or behind their person, I would just want to poke myself in the eye if I was that dog.
they have loose leash, but only because the dog has lost all will to live.
Well,
They just
yeah.
want to go home. They're not getting any enjoyment from the walk. So, of course, they're not wanting to pull.
Yeah. I'm like, that dog wants to just be off leash and running and enjoying itself.
So, all of this, it just ruins my image of dog ownership, the fancy of what I have, what I aim for, what I try and get for my clients. Everything about owning a dog is just shot by this one email I just read. And these are the people that are saying they're all for like animal ownership and animal rights, but I don't think so. You are not understanding the needs of dogs. If you're suggesting that they should all be muzzled and all be on a leash, that shows how far they have come from understanding the needs of dogs.
And I'm going to step into this realm again. If purely positive training works, then they wouldn't always need to be on a leash. They would come when they were called. They wouldn't need to be
Exactly.
muzzled in case they didn't come when they called. They just would come when they're called.
Exactly.
So they're, in my mind, it's another hypocritical thing. They're okay with the dog being muzzled so that it can't harm wildlife. But in turn, that puts the dog in a totally defensive position
Yes.
where they can't protect themselves once they get themselves into that trouble, or maybe not even get themselves into a trouble. Maybe a cougar or a bear jumps out and chases them. They might have nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah.
So they're okay with the dog getting injured, possibly killed, at the very least going through a bunch of pain, but they're not okay with putting on an e-collar that, like, surprising. Like, I've used the e-collar on myself, and it truly is like hitting your funny bone. It's not pleasant, but it's not painful. Don't get me wrong. Using it the wrong way certainly could be.
And this is just it. I think all of this is coming from trainers that are using so much equipment for basic things like teaching place. Why can't you train that with a cookie and a leash?
Yeah,
You don't need a pinch collar and an e-collar and all that other equipment to teach dog to stay somewhere. Like, really, people, we need to get better at being dog trainers here. So I think it's the overuse that has been pushing people this way. And I understand that. I also have a beef with tools that they've become a crutch for no feel in timing and not understanding dog behavior anymore. So rather than learn to understand dogs and make yourself a better trainer and student of dogs, now we can just turn that young Malinois into this sad old collie like dog. Like, we're just taking the essence of that breed out of them
yeah.
and then saying, oh, look, I've had, whatever, all these dogs and I can train anything. And then you see their dogs, that all these sad dogs that just have their souls taken out of them. This isn't dog training as we should be talking about, but it's dog training for the masses that don't actually want to learn how to train a dog. And it's not okay. So this reliance on tools is something I disagree with and you disagree with as much as the BCSPCA disagrees with.
And, but you and I are disagreeing with it at the base level. Like you said, teaching place, teaching sit, teaching walk loose on a loose leash. That you don't need.
I don't like seeing tools of any kind. And I'll add to this a bait pouch used to take the essence out of a dog to make it fit into a household where it shouldn't fit.
Agreed.
Buy the right dog. And then if you don't, rise to the occasion so you can honor that dog.
Dog training is not just all about control, and I think
What it's become.
that's what it's become. Everybody wants control, 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 and they feel like a dog that's completely subdued and sad is a well-trained dog.
Yes.
I don't want that. I want my dog to be running and galloping and having a blast. And when I say lie down, she hits the deck.
I want my dog to go kayaking with me, to go paddleboarding with me, to be able to climb a mountain, to get into all of my adventures and trouble that I get into. I want them
And
beside me for all of it
and enjoy doing it. You
and
don't want
enjoy
them
doing it.
you
And
don't
I
want
know,
them beside you with their
yeah,
head hung down.
I want them to be willing partners in crime with whatever adventure I may take them on. And they are.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about them running away because why would they? They have freedom. Where just come with
Exactly.
me.
You're not the one that ends their joy.
No.
Those are the dogs that want to run away when they've never been off leash and suddenly the gate opens
Yeah.
and they're like, I'm out of here. This is going to be my adventure.
Yep.
Your dogs and my dogs are like, we're going somewhere. The gate's open. Let's all go on an adventure.
So going back to all of this, my dear BCSPCA has a program out, Animal Kind, where one of the things is no yelling at dogs.
Good
And
girl.
it takes me back to families and conversations with my friends and that. We have heated discussions.
Yeah.
We get annoyed with each other, but it's those honest conversations that then I think make us stronger together. We understand each other better afterwards. We know where we need to be more respectful of each other and where we can also be more cheeky and push.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with heated arguments. So I don't know why they keep saying that that will ruin our relationship, because I actually think it makes a relationship more honest and strong.
Yeah. And this is something that happens on occasion.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
not daily.
we're not saying we yell at dogs all the time, but because we don't hardly ever raise our voice to them, when you need to, it means something to them.
Yeah. And I would like to add to this right now as we're doing this podcast. I have Pippa on a dog bed on my left, Kate's here touching me on my right, Rupert's over getting a drink of water, and my bad little monstrous border collie is lying right behind me, just chewing on her toy.
Your board
That's
and
what
train
freedom
puppy.
does. My board and train,
Yeah.
the little monster. Here she is in a group of dogs lying down, settled at my feet, and she's 5 months old.
Yeah.
This is what dog ownership is supposed to be. I'm not making this dog lie on a place. I'm not going to dumb down training so I can turn this dog into someone that anyone can manage. You don't get a genius dog like this and then want to ruin her brain and dull her down. That's just wrong on so many levels. Train them for who they're meant to be.
Yeah. And start out getting the dog that you're meant to have.
We all make errors on that one. When you make an error, then rise to the occasion.
Well, yes. But in the
But at least
perfect
try and make errors you can succeed at.
but in the perfect world, like if you're somebody that is a total homebody who never wants to go out of the house and never go hiking, don't get
Yeah,
a border collie.
absolutely. No,
Like
no.
you're asking for troubles there.
Yeah. So going back to this, I truly believe that a lot of the changing of laws we're seeing locally, where dogs are now not allowed off leash in one municipality, things now being said like all dogs should be muzzled, it's almost like the world is realizing that this way of training isn't working and dogs are getting badder. So therefore, this other stuff's having to come in place so we can keep living with dogs in harmony, that they now have to be muzzled and leashed.
I agree.
Well,
I
why aren't we questioning the training?
I was thinking the same thing after we spoke earlier today.
Yeah.
It went from they Sizzle, get out of there. Come on. Back up.
Sizzle isn't lying down nicely like all of my wonderful
No,
dogs.
she's trying to get in under the bed where she doesn't fit. No, I was thinking earlier that they've gone from we know who we're talking about, but it went from you can't have a dog on a collar because if you use a prong collar or a choke chain, it's painful to the dog. So then they've switched to either a halty, which to me is horrible for the dog, or a harness because they can't teach them to walk normally on a collar. So they've gone to something that isn't going to be uncomfortable to them, the harness. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them are. And now
Front end are
because
very much, and the loopy harnesses, yeah.
yeah, and now because their training isn't working in keeping or having the dogs come back when they're called, now they're rolling over to muzzles because that's the only thing that's going to prevent tooth damage when your dog is running around, gets off leash because they're not supposed to be off leash now. But the muzzle is the only thing that's going to prevent any kind of damage. Like they're band-aiding everything.
Rather than saying, what we're doing dog training wise right now isn't giving us the results we want. Let's look at some of these other things that we have previously dismissed and see if we can get dogs working within the parameters of what we believe is still humane by giving them what they need to still be successful to be dogs.
Yep. I don't know why someone like BCSPCA or Animal Kind doesn't find somebody who is 100% adept in using something like an e-collar,
Yep.
where they can refer people to and be comfortable knowing that they're going to somebody who's going to use it in a fair fashion, and the dog is
Yes.
going to understand it and be able to have that freedom that they all want.
And it keeps wildlife safe without having to lock the dog's mouth closed with a muzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense to me.
It does me too. But
Maybe that's something that needs to be approached with the BCSPCA.
oh, I think I might get laughed out the building.
Maybe.
Uh, we have friends that would be able to open up that conversation. And I believe in any tools that can improve a dog's quality of life. So I'm not going to use any tool that will suppress that dog or squish that dog down, keep it more confined, keep it more controlled. That's not my idea. Like, I don't agree in that. But if I can make this dog's life bigger and allow it to have a better quality of life that a dog would naturally be having, I'm all in.
Yep.
And
And
and we all know dogs are supposed to be able to roam, use their noses, like explore.
that's what keeps them healthy, both physically and mentally.
Dumb things are being created. Sorry, I'm being disrespectful here by calling it dumb, but things like sniffy walks where the dog's allowed to just take its nose. Like, why don't you train it to come back so you can let it off leash?
Yeah.
Like, really, once again, a sniffy walk is just another band aid for my dog won't come, so I can't let it off.
Yep.
So instead, I'm just going to follow behind it and let it take me wherever it wants. Teach it to come.
And then it can run around wherever it wants and
Then
still come back when it's called.
it can have its own proper sniffy walk
Yes.
when you teach it to come. So go get training. You need to teach this dog to come back when you call him instantly.
It's just, it just boggles my mind.
I know. But the fear is, to me, this is the first time I've read anything like this about muzzles, that a muzzle should be considered the same as a leash and all dogs should just have one. Once this type of language becomes commonplace, that's when you start getting glared at for having your dogs unmuzzled or your dogs unleashed. That's how our rights get taken away from us. And that's the piece I find terrifying here. Like, in 5 years, are we going to look back on this conversation like, oh, yeah, we're mandated now for all our dogs to be muzzled all the time?
It makes you wonder if this isn't just a stepping stone.
That's my fear.
Like over in the UK, all of the bully breeds have to be muzzled.
Yep.
Now it's going to get to the point where every dog, when it's off of its property, that's my fear, every dog is going to have to be muzzled.
Or dogs over a certain weight. Who
Yep.
knows?
It just, to me, when I was growing up, the dogs were allowed to voice an opinion. They were allowed to growl at you if you were doing something they didn't like, and then your
Yeah.
parents usually gave you a smack and said, leave the dog alone. If they were eating or chewing a bone, don't bug the dog, it's eating. Why is it now that dogs have to accept everybody walking in and reaching into their bowl of food and taking bones away from them? And we've told them that growling is bad. So now they're not allowed to growl. Their next step is to bite you. Take me back 50 years ago when my mom just said, leave the dog alone, she's eating.
Yeah.
If she bites you, maybe
We
you
told
shouldn't
you
have been
to leave
bugging
him
her.
alone. Yeah. You were told.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was told to leave a dog alone. He had a bone. I, of course, did not because I love dogs. and I got bitten in the face. And it was just like, "We told you to leave him alone. Why would you go there?"
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. The dog's not going to the vet to be put down.
Nope.
It's like you were told. You didn't listen, you're paying the consequence.
All ironies here. That dog was a rough collie. It was a lassie dog. Bit me in the face as a kid. But 100% my fault. I was told, I was warned, but I loved dogs.
Now everything has to have a new rule. Like
What do you mean by that?
everything you look at now. Now, what we're talking about now is they're wanting dogs to be wearing muzzles. It's not a
Yeah.
rule yet, but they don't want them off leash. That's a rule. Everything has to have a rule. When I was a kid, we're out camping. There's no signs on the docks saying no jumping off the dock, no running on the dock. Now you're not allowed to run or jump for fear that you get hurt.
Yes, but isn't there also a beware coffee is hot warning on your coffee
Well,
cup?
exactly. We've dumbed down everything now.
Yeah.
Maybe you will slip and break your arm running on the dock. Oh, not
Arms
the end of
heal.
exactly. And it gives you something to talk about later.
You can get your car signed by your friends if you have any.
Yeah. No, I'm getting frustrated with all the rules that are out there. They shouldn't
I'm
be allowed to do that. Oh, stop.
I'm getting frustrated by the dumb dog training that I'm seeing. We've made training so positive and it's all a choice. But if your dog would rather go kill that rabbit than come for your cookie, then now that dog can't be let off leash and it should be muzzled. Like, this is normal.
Yeah, why not just, like you said, teach it to come when it's called in all circumstances.
Yeah.
This is not optional.
Why don't we save wildlife and help them and still just train our dogs properly? It's it's just mind-boggling to me.
It seems so simple.
And I think once again we've totally forgotten who dogs are.
Yep.
Every breed of terrier was bred to kill something.
Yep.
All of the hounds were bred to do equivalent types of things like
Chase
chase,
things down.
locate,
Yep.
and now we're horrified if they do. So they must be muzzled and always leashed. Once again, what's wrong with training them?
The whole mindset is weird now. Like even that email from the BCSPCA talks about dog guardianship.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to say that you own this dog anymore.
We're not going there though. That's a whole different day.
Wow. I don't know.
I'll take us down a whole different rabbit hole that, yeah,
It
I
will,
know.
but it's just like you said, dogs are dogs. They should be dogs.
Yeah,
But society is turning them into non-dogs.
we are.
Yep.
Honestly, I believe we're turning them into prisoners.
Yep.
And a lot of the training I see, these dogs are so mind controlled. Every thought that they have, they look at you for permission.
Yeah.
That's not nice. Like we've literally have turned them into prisoners.
Yep. They're not
Now
allowed to think on their own.
it's all for a cookie, but there's no natural dog thought going on in that head anymore.
And that
It's
kind
not.
of that looking to you for permission for everything. I'm okay with that when you're doing your dog sports. That's a time when you're in the ring. It's a very short time in their life. They should be looking to you. But when they're out being their own dog, they should be able to run and roll in a puddle or grab a tree and try to drag it away. Those are things that they should be doing just because they're a dog and they enjoy doing it.
It's something I see when I'm doing board and trains or when I'm boarding a dog, that type of thing. There are dogs who don't even know how to get out of a crate until you tell them okay.
Yep.
And if you don't tell them okay or whatever their routine is, they will stay in there in the back, like unsure and not knowing what to do. Then they come out and you unclip them and you take them on a walk. They don't know how to leave you. So they might go, most of the time they're going to walk behind you, but eventually they may stray out like one or two steps. And then they get a little bit frantic spin, look at you like, what should I do now? they're waiting for a command or something, and then they'll get back in behind you and they're quite unsure. These dogs don't know how to think on their own if they're not taught. They're micromanaged to that degree.
I
It's
was
actually
just
interesting. This is something we always say, don't micromanage. We've never said why. And this is why. Because these dogs don't know how to think on their own. They're almost like little robots being steered. If they're not told one step left, one step right, one step left, they don't know what to do and they just freeze.
I can admit that when I first started coming out to the island and walking with you, I was a mess. Because you would have your dogs would be running and they'd go off in the trees, and then you would hang a right when they went left. And I was like, and I was forever calling my dogs back and micromanaging them because I always wanted them to be where I could see them. And it took a good couple of years of being out there until I started to allow them to just be off and exploring, knowing that they would find their way back. Maybe not now because Sizzle can't hear anymore.
Neither can Kate. It's always fun walking Kate.
Oh dear, yes.
She can't see that much either. So my hand signals, I'm like waving frantically and screaming at a high pitch. She seems to be able to hear that. Sweet Kate. Yeah. Enjoy our dog ownership while we have it, because it might be changing for us soon in BC. Not soon, but I would say this is a new tone and a new direction that we may be looking towards. And I think we need to stand up strong here and say no. Like, muzzles have a time and place. Don't get me wrong. I think going to the vet's office, going to groomers, if you have a dog that's eating stones and you are unable to train it out of them. And true dogs with aggression, we're all very grateful if you muzzle them so that if somebody else's fails, they're still safe. So there are a time and place for muzzles. Like, there really are. They have a very important function. But no tool, once again, should be being relied on 100%.
Absolutely.
And a muzzle is a tool, a leash is a tool, a bait pouch is a tool, an e-collar is a tool. That's where I love competitions. And I believe we've failed dogs a bit by moving away from CKC obedience. Because you have to have your 3, 5, or 7-minute routines in that ring with no food, no tools, no leash, nothing. It's you and your dog. The only thing you're able to take in there is your relationship and your training.
Yep.
Show us what you got. And your relationship would have to carry you through, and your training, of course. But it's those two things. You get to see where you're at. Because if you're relying on tools, you don't know where you're at until you take them away. And tools fail. So we need these moments like in a ring to know where you are at.
Yeah.
What do you really have?
I also feel like a relationship can get you through your round in the ring,
Yep,
even if your training isn't great.
I agree.
But if your relationship sucks,
Yeah.
your training is gone.
And I would say for me, in my business, I train relationships.
Yep.
My board and trains, I'm going to make your relationship with your dog the best it can be. I'm going to teach your dog stuff, and you're going to learn equal amounts of stuff. And between the two of you, you need to rise to the occasion and be a bit of a better dog owner, and your dog needs to rise to the occasion and be a much better dog for you. Both sides of the equation have to try harder. And as a result, both sides of the equation will get better quality of life out of it.
Well,
But it's
it has to be so rewarding for you
only when it
when
works.
when you do. Well, yes, when it works. But when you see people recognizing that change in their relationship, like all of a sudden their dog is looking to them for guidance,
I
not
see
micromanaged, but
the dog trainers who are just using tools and just following recipes like place, heel, come, and it's just all tool dependent. So I see these trainers and people love them because they don't have to work hard. They get their robot back, they just put input in or correct if it doesn't do it.
yeah.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that to dogs. It's just not right.
That's because you want your dogs to have a life. You want all dogs to have a life, and a lot of other trainers out there just like we already said, just want control.
And it's not about that. It needs to be about quality of life. And in this process, like your dog needs to learn stuff to become a better dog for you. But you too must learn to be a better dog handler and better dog owner. It's both. Like it's a journey together, and it's so much more rewarding that way, I think.
Yeah. You said something a little while ago about things are going to change in the future, and you said not necessarily in the near future, but the changes are coming, like with the muzzles and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you look back, even in recent years, if you go back and look at all of the changes in dog owning mentality,
Yeah.
there have been some major changes. Even I have to go by dog ages here. And it sounds like a long time away, but it doesn't feel like it. But 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, if your dog snapped at somebody when you were out and about, you didn't have to worry about losing your house.
Yeah.
Like, the public's mentality where it comes to dogs has changed so much, and I think that's the reason why dogs are being so micromanaged and their life being squelched, is because 100% control is the only way you're going to be, or what people think is the only way you're going to be safe
I think
from.
that came about though because people, at least where I live, became so entitled of it's an off-leash park. You can't come here with your on-leash dog. Like mine's allowed to approach. No, it means you have the right to have yours off, but you still need to control it. You
Yes.
don't just get to abuse every other park user because it says your dog can be off leash. Hang on a second. I have to tell off my bacon dog. Hang on. Oi, stop it, you. She's tugging on the dog bed. Her goodness came to an end. It was in her front teeth and she was heaving with all her might.
Just wanted to move it closer to the fire.
It's rather large. It's 8 times the size of her. You little turd. She's doing it again.
Those people, because the signs around here anyway have always been at the off leash parks, they've been dogs can be off leash, they must be under control at all times,
Yep.
and you must clean up after your dog.
Yep.
And the only part of that sign that people see is dogs can be off leash. It reminds me of a thing that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. It was about 9:30 at night, 9:30, 10. I'm sitting in my living room watching TV, and there's this slamming going on in the alley out behind me. And it scared me at first because I didn't know what the hell it was. Then I realized it was the kids across the alley that were slamming either the lid of the garbage bins or slamming something into them. So I went out and just yelled, "Oi!" and stopped for a second, and then it started up again. I yelled out, "What are you doing?" And it wasn't kids getting quiet and going, "Uh-oh, we've been busted." Immediately their response was, "It's not 11 o'clock yet, we can do what we want." Again, you read the rule that says quiet time starts at 11, and that's all. Just like dogs can be off leash, that's all you read.
We've just become inconsiderate to anyone else. It's just about what I need for my dog.
Absolutely. Like you said, entitled. Everybody is entitled.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that you and I are probably, I hope we're, how am I going to say this? I'm going to say we're abnormal, and I hope not when it comes to our dogs. But when I see people approaching, if my dogs are off leash, immediately I call them back and put them on leash. And that, to me, that's just normal. Like, I don't
It
want my dogs,
is.
I
It
don't want my
is if you
dogs,
can call them back. Most can't. Because
but
this positive only training is failing if their dog gets to choose would I like to go say hi to their dog or would I like to go back for the milk bone cookie in the pocket?
true. But there's also a lot of people that don't even bother to call them back.
Because they know they can't.
In a lot of cases, exactly. Yeah. Some of them just think it's an off-leash park. Too bad. And I don't hit the off-leash parks, so my example there was just off in the forest or something. But yeah. I don't know. I just
My
feel like
belief is, I
I,
have a belief, your dogs are off leash, keep them to yourself.
yeah.
No other park user wants to see your dogs unless they explicitly ask, and then you can decide.
Do you remember when we were walking and we had 7 or 8 dogs with us?
Yes,
The woman jogging?
yes,
We had pulled them all back to us. We had all of our dogs contained off the path. A bunch of them were in downstays as this woman went by, and she had to stop and make a snarky comment about the number of dogs we had.
yep,
The number of dogs we had under control and not bothering her.
yep.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
she said something snotty about the number that she said we were allowed to have.
Are you allowed to have that many dogs out here?
I
Or
thought she said how many we were allowed to have.
isn't that a lot of dogs? And you commented with it's not even all of them or something like that. Like
Yeah, I did.
we thought she was kidding until we realized she wasn't.
I'm proud to say I wrote down the number of dogs that we are allowed in the dirt on her car.
Oh, yes, you did. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the norm to be respectful of other people, which is sad. I wish it was.
And in the case like that, there you were going for a morning run. She let us having our dogs off leash, completely under control, going nowhere near her, literally ruin her day, or at
Yeah,
least her morning.
yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, she probably grumbled the whole she could have just said, "Morning.
It would have
Nice
been much
control."
easier.
Continued on, but no.
She could have lied and said, "That dog's cute." Whatever. Come up with
Exactly.
something like, why would you take this in so deep? But again, it's probably because she gets ran at so often
Hmm.
that she now just hates dogs. So seeing us with that many, she just believes is completely irresponsible.
Which
How
I can't even blame her for that because as a letter carrier, I tend to in my day-to-day work, I often find myself cursing at dogs.
Yeah,
And I love dogs, but I'm just used to the dogs seeing me wearing, I call it the bite me suit,
yeah.
and people don't have control of them, or they let them come right up to me and then say, "Oh, that's really good. He usually bites the postie."
I know. It happens to me too. They think our skin is different than normal people's. It must be thicker like Teflon or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yes, we need to raise the standards of dog training. We all need to stop becoming so tool dependent. And we need to not make it normal that dogs are never allowed off leash or always are wearing muzzles. Because that really isn't a very great life for dogs.
Not at all. It just makes me sad to think of all dogs having to wear a muzzle.
There
But for the
there is
future,
a time and a place. There is a time and a
absolutely.
place.
Yep, I
But
agree.
no tool should be relied on that
Well,
heavily.
and to me, it's not when your dogs are out and about running off leash because, in my mind, if you need a muzzle on your off leash dog, it shouldn't be off leash.
Yes.
It either doesn't come back when it's called, or it's aggressive to people or dogs,
Or it's eating stones.
or it's eating. Yeah, but if it's eating stones, then it can be off leash. It just needs the muzzle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a sad world that dog owners are living in right now. And hopefully things will turn around when it becomes a little more obvious that the purely positive belief it doesn't work.
I hate to say that so blatantly because there are some phenomenal trainers out there that are totally succeeding. And I think if you and I each got puppies, depending on breed, Malinois maybe not so much, but border collies, golden retrievers, yeah, we could probably do it all. Purely
I,
positive.
I still think there's going to come a time when one of the dogs goes, it'd be more fun to chase that magpie.
Oh, I agree. But then for you and I, we would tell them to knock it off and carry on our way, which I think probably a lot of the good, purely positive trainers are still doing anyway. I shouldn't say that. I spoke out of turn there. But there are amazing, purely positive trainers. However, for me to put that criteria on my clients who do not have the skill and the timing, who just got their little rescue dog from Mexico, who is
Yeah.
so wound up that he cannot eat treats in public, or so aggressive he cannot eat treats in public. It's completely different from me starting off my puppy. So different. We're talking rehab here. These are dogs coming in with issues. Any of our clients coming in, pretty much all their dogs, other than puppy class, are coming in with issues of some kind.
Yeah.
And you just can't succeed at it. It's very different than if we get our own easy dogs as puppies. And again, Jill and I have the time, this is our life, that we're going to put in the 10,000 hours needed. And it may need a whole lot more hours to get certain tasks done. She and I wouldn't care. We're hobbyists. This is just what we do. So we would do it. But I can't ask that same requirement of my mum with her 4 young kids. She doesn't have the time to do those 10,000 repetitions with her dog.
Right.
She needs results fast so that that dog can stay in that house.
Yep. And isn't going to
So,
be stuck in a kennel for the rest of its life.
yeah. So the requirements on my clients are very different than what we dog trainers in our perfect little dog lives can expect. I can't expect a farmer in northern BC to be doing this with his guardian dog. He's not going to, and he shouldn't.
Oh.
Uh,
You and I would be looking for the same results in 7 or 8 months.
yes. Lay people need results quicker. They're not going to have the timing. And I think it's very unrealistic to ask this of them because many won't succeed. They just won't succeed. And then all dogs have to stay on leash and be muzzled in public.
Or they end up at the Humane Society.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we could get effective, quicker training on a bunch of these dogs, the numbers in the SPCA would drop. But people don't have the 4 or 5 or 6 months to get the kind of training in on their dog that they need.
Nor the money to pay
Yep.
for those weekly lessons to keep them going there.
Yep. And going back to the purely positive people that are successful with their dogs, I believe in their domestics. They are not purely positive.
In the competition people we admire, I 100% agree.
Yep. Their domestics outside of the ring, there are rules that have to be followed.
And I think if we're talking ring stuff, Jill, you and I are pretty much purely positive.
I would agree.
All my sport
Yep.
training, it's all games and fun, and
Yeah, absolutely.
so all of our sport it should be a sport.
Yeah.
There are many, many trainers who can get it domestically too, but it's very different than being able to then get my client with their rescue and their 4 children with their very little time and tight budget to get results that they need to keep that dog in that home. And once again, at the end of the day, it's about improving quality of life for the dog and the family.
Oh.
What's better for his quality of life, to keep him in that home or not? Sometimes it's better to rehome them, but not often. Most of the time, it's better to keep them there.
And I don't know a whole lot of pet dog trainers like you're doing, but of the ones I know, there's not a lot that will actually voice that opinion that this dog would be better in a different situation. You're very honest with your clients, whether or not they want to hear it or not. But you tell them what you think is the best path for their dog.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to hear your honesty.
It's tough. Poor dogs. I don't like where we're going.
Nope.
All of you, pay attention to your local municipalities, especially those of you on Southern Vancouver Island, because there was somebody else that just started looking at dogs being on leash, doing a survey with their parks. I can't remember where it was. I think it was Sydney. And once again, if our BCSPCA writes a letter to them supporting that, that will be enough to push it through. So
Yep.
start speaking up, because we're going to have all of our rights taken away from us.
Yep. You'll get to walk on that beach with your dog on leash if you're lucky.
No, dogs aren't allowed on a lot of beaches here now.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless they completely ban them from the beach.
Yeah.
But that's almost better than walking on the beach with a dog that can't go in the water.
I agree. I do agree.
Our
Yep.
dogs are
And
destined to
then
come.
start evaluating your training. Can you train your dog? Could you take your dog on an enjoyable walk with zero tools and have control?
Yep.
And by that, I'm talking everything. Food, pinch collar, e-collar, all gone. Can you and your dog go somewhere and just have fun together with no equipment and you can still control them? Because if you can't, you too are becoming equipment dependent and you need to work on your relationship with your dog.
Yep.
I'm not saying you should be able to do that every day, but you should be able to do it.
I can do it when I take one at a time.
That's fair.
Yep.
I don't think it'd be very enjoyable with Harry, but
By himself, he'd be fine.
yeah, exactly. As long as Harper isn't in season, like today.
Yeah. Anybody out there want a Malinois golden puppy?
Harper
Joking.
is a German Shepherd.
I was thinking of someone else.
Prada. Prada's breeding Rupert.
Oh,
Barb is going to kill me for that. Sorry, Barb.
hi, Barb. Prada already has enough ears. She doesn't need Rupert's.
It could enhance her nose when her puppies have no vision.
Yes, that's exactly it.
All right. We should go. We've talked badly enough. I
All right.
just fear where dogs are going in the future. Because unless we actually start trying to become better dog owners and improve our relationship with dogs, things look pretty bleak moving forwards.
We need to, and I say we as a collective group of dog owners, we need to get a backbone, because the people that are coming at us for putting a correction on our dog for being a dick on a walk, those people that are coming at us have the backbones. We're all getting scared to correct our dogs for bad behavior for fear of somebody yelling at us for it and calling us abusers. And we need to get back to the point where we stand up for our belief in training. And if this is something that is deserving of a correction, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to be comfortable doing it.
I think the other thing we need to start doing is flood social media with photos of our dogs being dogs. Our dogs
Right?
up top of a mountain, our dogs on paddleboards, our dogs kayaking, our dogs biking with us. The
Absolutely.
quality of life and the freedom that our dogs have. We need to make that the norm because I don't think people understand. They're so used to just seeing dogs on place or doing some circling around its handler and going through its legs.
Yeah.
They've forgotten that they can go paddleboarding and kayaking
And be happy doing it.
and skiing and all of this fun stuff that we used to do with dogs that we won't be able to do anymore if they always have to be on leash and muzzled. Yeah. It's going to totally change dog ownership as we know it. Now, I'm being dramatic here because no one said this, but I think the writing's on the wall. Like we're being introduced to it now.
Oh, I agree with you. Which is why I just want to buy a big parcel of land so I have my own space to enjoy my dogs.
If anyone would like to buy us 100 acres, please do.
Yeah.
You
If
can will
anybody's
it
look,
to us.
if anyone's looking for something for Christmas, I take a size 50 acre.
We will share it with others that have control of their dogs and want to let them be free.
Mm-hmm.
We need like a non-profit society that's 100 acres big where people actually control their dogs
Oh my.
and manage them and aren't selfish twats with them. Train your dogs, improve your relationship, start flooding social media with videos and photos of dogs being dogs. Let's make it normal again because I think it's been forgotten what dog ownership should be.
Yep. Agreed.
And it's not what it has become. We need
Right.
to start swinging it back.
We just need to stand up to the masses.
Yep. Yep, we do.
You don't want me to use an e-collar, but I want my dog to have freedom.
My dog needs to have freedom.
Yep. And if that means an e-collar, so be it. It's not It's not a horrible thing.
I'm going to say it just because it horrifies me so often, because I am a dog trainer, so I'm getting broken dogs here. I am shocked by how many dogs are on medication.
Yes. I was going to say the
And
muzzle is people are saying muzzle everyone. The next thing is going to be medicate everyone.
they already are medicated, Jill. They're
Yep.
all medicated. It's shocking. It's truly shocking.
And that to
I
me
I
is,
wish I had been smart enough to know this in advance, because I would have bought shares in the drug companies,
well, that's what I
because
was going to
they
say that
doubled
about.
their audience on the same drug. They just doubled and tripled their audience.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about muzzles.
Yeah, like
Is
they
the SPCA got shares in
yeah.
some company that's making muzzles?
So they got people on these medications, and then they're like, we've maxed out here in North America. How can we make more profits off the same drug? Oh,
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh,
Let's get dogs, cats, and horses on it.
yep. Instead of freaking training them, like dogs are easy to train. You tell them what's right and what's wrong.
But
Honestly,
it's a relationship. You
it's
must work on yourself too.
it's pretty simple though. You don't
Yeah.
need to be throwing drugs at them. Have a good relationship. Tell them yes, that's good. No, that's wrong.
But this is all, I think, where training's kind of gone, because the purely positive training itself isn't working when you're dealing with lay people with limited resources of time and money,
Yep.
and dogs that they're getting that already have issues. It's incredibly complex to retrain a dog that way.
And the easiest solution is to medicate them.
And medication's easy.
Yep.
But how on earth did a chemical restraint of medication become more acceptable than telling my dog, knock that off?
Or raising your voice. Because
Like,
God forbid you yell at
what
them.
happened here? Did I miss something? Did I go into a coma and wake up and miss 10 years? What happened?
You just missed the memo.
Wow.
It's ridiculous when you put it that way.
Now, once again, I would medicate a dog if I needed to.
I would too, but it wouldn't be my first line of defense.
No, it wouldn't.
And it
I
has
agree.
become that. My dog doesn't want to be left at home alone.
Yeah.
Give him this.
What it used to be was, my dog doesn't want to be left home alone. Is he crate trained? No. Okay, crate him. But before you go to work, bike him for half an hour.
Yeah.
That's what we used to say.
Yeah.
And
Or
then the other suggestion was, my dog doesn't want to be left alone. Okay, this weekend, tie him to you for 24 hours every day. Don't let him out of your, have him tied to you every waking moment so he gets dragged around. By the time Monday comes, he's going to be like, go, just go, leave
it'll
me
be like,
alone.
don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Oh
Or
dear.
when I was working in vet clinics, if the dog didn't want to be left alone, it was leave him alone, go out to your car, come back.
Yeah.
Leave him alone, walk around the block, come back.
Maybe that's why none of my dogs have separation anxiety, because I always forget my keys, then I forget my sunglasses, then I forgot my water bottle, and then I
Then
can't remember if I locked the door or not.
then you come back and get the dog that you forgot.
Maybe my absent-mindedness has made me very good at this.
Mine are the same. They're like, just wait, 3, 2, 1. Oh,
She's back.
the door's opening again.
She's gone again.
Yeah, but yeah, there were training ideas. Even dogs that were car sick. Take them out to the car, feed them in the car.
Yep.
Take them to the car, start the car.
Yep.
Take them to the car, drive to the neighbor and back. Now because everything is so immediate now. Like we stand
Because
in front of the
again, people,
microwave. We
they
we
don't,
yell at the microwave to hurry up. Everything is at your fingertips. You want an answer to something? Google.
yeah. Yeah.
Nobody has the time to actually truly research something. Going back 30 years, going to the library and pulling out an encyclopedia and
It's not fair to say no one, but I agree. Society as a whole, that's definitely a trend. But I think a lot of my clients are probably my age range and older, and it's a different, we're not so much in that stage.
I think we still get sucked into it though. You and I are no different. When we have a question, we pull out our phone.
Of course.
we're we're just getting into that mindset that everything is immediate.
Yeah, but for you and I, though, we wouldn't think teaching my Italian Greyhound a solid, reliable down was a 2-year process.
Mm-hmm.
That was far from immediate. And I didn't think twice about it. I just did what I needed to do to get that.
But that's a different, you're a trainer's mentality. You're not the general
Yes.
public. We have all been brainwashed into you have the answers at your fingertips, and when you don't really know what to do about it. You ask for an immediate solution, which is medication, which is where this whole conversation started.
And once again, we need to become better trainers. So we need to look at training more for our dog's behavior. It's our relationship. What in my relationship can change the way he's doing this?
I think this is a perfect time to use Sizzle as an example. Because as a dog, she's probably one of the ones that most people would have gone a medication route with her.
Yeah.
I didn't. My big jump with her was spaying her to see if hormonal changes would make a difference in her. Didn't really see that. But the changes came from the relationship change
Yes.
and age as well. She got better as she got older, but
I don't think so. I think sometimes those dogs can get worse with age. It's because your relationship is going the right direction.
whatever it was, I didn't resort to medication on her. And now she's like the easiest dog to take around.
And again, if you need to use medication as a bridge while training takes hold, I understand. I totally understand. But medication as 100% always thing, I just can't accept it.
Yeah.
The same as tools. We're going to stick medication in there, the same as another tool.
Yep. Now,
Uh,
granted, there are some dogs that need to be medicated.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
it's a lifelong thing. You're not going to get away with it or away from it.
But
But
they're
that
very few.
should
They
it
are very
shouldn't
few and far between.
exactly. And it shouldn't be that shouldn't be your first choice. It
They're the
should be let's
1%.
let's try this. If that doesn't work, let's try this. Let's try this. And if you've gone through the gamut of things and nothing is making a difference, then try the medication. But don't jump on that as your first line of defense.
I have one student who is my apprentice. Hi, Sarah. Sarah with Millie. And I'm talking about her now. Sarah has had 3 dogs with me, and Millie is her latest. And Millie is a soft little soul from Mexico, lacking confidence. And I would say Sarah has a nice, calm energy to her. But what's surprising about Sarah is she's fiercely disciplined, but you wouldn't expect that of her. She's just, when she decides she's doing something, don't get in her way. She's doing it. But she's just got such a nice, calm energy about doing it, so you don't quite realize that she is that way. Anyhow, she got her little Millie dog. Millie had no confidence. And to look at Millie now, she's perfectly balanced. You would never know this dog struggle with confidence. To me, she's just got the perfect amount of calm energy, push, confidence, sweetness. This dog's perfect. And Sarah does that with every one of her dogs.
And I'll bet Sarah doesn't dwell on what happened in their past.
No.
They're here now and we're working with what I've got in front of me.
Yeah. The
Don't spend all your time worrying about the shit life they had before they came to you.
The dog before Millie was Dexter, who was a tripod from the Middle East somewhere. And I find the dogs coming from the Middle East have quite a hard edge. They're not for the faint of heart. And that's why Dexter had 3 legs. It's a good job he only had 3, man. He'd have been a force to reckon with if he had 4. And in her quiet little way, she just trained Dexter. And then before that, it was another shy little dog that needed confidence. Whatever dog she gets, she just slowly tackles it, just rises to the occasion.
She's a good
And
trainer then.
She is a very good trainer. And it's people like Sarah. That's what we all need to just become. Her dogs are all off leash. They have good quality of life. She's not in their heads all the time. Like they're all just free, happy little souls that would follow her through fire if she just casually walked through it.
Yeah.
They'll all be there to defend her with their life if ever she needed it. These dogs adore her. And she is a phenomenal trainer. And if we want to talk about leadership, dominance, or whatever words like that you want to use for how people lead their dogs, I don't think anyone would ever, ever call Sarah a tough leader, ever. She's just got this nice, calm, patient energy to her.
Fairness goes a long way.
It does. And you relate, once again, relationship goes a long way.
Yep.
But there's that mental discipline that I think with her patient, she can wait 10 hours for it to happen. And that steely determination, the dogs know it, I think, with her too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely pick up on that for sure.
Yeah. People like Sarah, we all need to be a little bit more like that.
Be like Sarah.
Be like Sarah. And Sarah's one of many. She just comes to mind because her Millie dog, what she's done with her, like this dog is perfect. Truly perfect.
I don't think I've met Sarah.
I don't know if you have.
I don't think so.
Yeah. At the end of the day, your dog should just be nondescript and happy, just balanced and happy.
I hesitate to say this, but everybody wants their children to be that way.
Hmm.
I don't fall into the category of these are my fur babies at all. They're my dogs. But you want your kids to have joy and freedom.
Yes.
Your dogs should have the same joy and freedom in their life.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks,
See you
Jilly.
next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.